Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Varun Tahin. In the previous lecture we have seen how do we use control statements like if, elif and else. Also we have gone through the concepts of loop, comprehensions and some functions like lambda, map, filter and reduce and how they are effective in various ways, particularly in some scenarios. So if you guys have not seen that video, I would recommend to step back and check that out by clicking on the top right corner of the screen. In our today's session, we will focus ourselves on NumPy library, which is a useful library provided by Python and is essential for any analyst or data scientist to have a good hands-on on. So before moving to our topic of the day, I would like to disclose previous session's answers that I have promised. So guys, the first question was from the conditions, that is from if, elif and else. So the question read as the if had a none condition there and an else. So none you can regard always as a false condition because what is not true is always a false. So if none is true, else is false. Okay, so it will always comes to false here. Thus it is printing this. Then there were some couple of questions on the list comprehension side. Okay, in which the first question read, create a list of multiples of 4 for just even numbers between 1 to 10. So what are we doing here? We are iterating the range of numbers starting from 1 to 10. Okay, and then we are checking if the numbers are found to be even, we are multiplying that number and we are returning it. So it will come as a list. You can see here all the numbers will be printed here. Okay, so next question read as create a list of multiples of 4 for even numbers between 1 to 10 and multiples of 5 for the rest of the numbers. So what are we doing here? If the numbers from 1 to 10 are found to be even, that is completely divisible by 2, we are multiplying those numbers by 4, and the other numbers which are not completely divisible by 2, that is those are not even numbers, then we are multiplying it by 5 and returning the list of the numbers. The third question read as multiply n ranging from 1 to 5 with first 1, then 2 and then 3. So here we are taking two loops, that is one from 1 to 3 and one from 1 to 5. So guys, remember the main numbers we have to take a multiple for 1 2 3 will come in the inner loop, and the actual numbers of 1 and 2 and 3 will come as the outer loop. So this cannot be interchangeable, and you will see that once I change this, the result will also change. Okay, so let's say that I want to change this, and let's keep 1 to 6 here and 1 to 4 here. Okay, and I'll comment this. So you can see here the numbers are just iterating from 1 2 and 3, and continuously the multiples of it are taken. So the multiples will be taken 1 2 3 4 and 5 times. So this is not interchangeable. So the correct answer is the previous one. So guys, now let's move on to the topic of the day, which is NumPy. So NumPy actually stands for numerical Python, and we will be going deeper into the concepts of NumPy. So let us see what is the agenda for this session. So we will be first checking the advantages of the vectorized code. Okay, and then we will try and create NumPy arrays. Okay, and what we will do is we'll first convert the list and tuples to NumPy arrays, and then we'll try and initialize those arrays. Okay, and then we will inspect the structure and contents of the arrays, and then check subset, slice and index and iterate operations on arrays, and then we will check the computation times of NumPy arrays with the standard Python list. So let's check out some NumPy basics. So NumPy is a library written for scientific computing and data analysis. It stands for numerical Python, as I have already told you guys. The most basic object in NumPy is ND-array, or simply array, which is an n-dimensional homogeneous array. By homogeneous, we mean that all the elements in the NumPy array have to be of the same data type. which is commonly numeric. We can regard those as float or integer. Now let's see some of the important examples of NumPy array. So for using NumPy, we have to import a standard library called as NumPy, and we'll give it an alias to it as NP. So you can give any alias, but NP is standard for NumPy. Okay, then what I'll do is I will try and create a 1D array using a list, and that is done in NumPy. I'll say as 1D. Okay, and that is done in NumPy via np.array. Okay, and that will take a list here. Let's say that I have some list. Okay, and I'll print it. So this is how it looks, but when you check the type of it, it will be NumPy. Okay, so numpy.nd array, as I have told you already. So let's see how to create a NumPy 2D array now. Okay, so I'll name it as array 2D, and it will be again the same, np.array. But in the case of 2D array, we need to give a list, and inside we need to give two lists here. Okay, separated by commas, so that NumPy is able to identify that it is a 2D array. Okay, so I'm giving 2, 3, 4 as elements of the row 1, and 5, 6, 7 as the elements in the row 2. When I print this, you guys will see that it will come as a 2D array. Okay, it's coming in the form of rows and columns. So guys, now let's check out how NumPy is structuring digits into this table. So in NumPy, dimensions are called axes, and in the 2D array there are two axes having 2 and 3 elements respectively, as we have seen here. By 2 and 3 we mean there will be 2 rows and 3 columns. Axis 0 refers to the rows, and axis 1 refers to the columns. Okay, so you can simply check this out. It will appear as a table here. Okay, then let's move on to some advantages of NumPy. So what is the use of arrays over lists? So specifically for data analysis it is done. You can write vectorized code here on NumPy arrays, which is not possible on the list. So which is convenient to read and write, and which is precise also. Okay, and NumPy is much faster also than any of the standard Python ways to do computations. So that is another reason for us to use NumPy. So there is this concept of vectorized code, which typically does not contain explicit looping and indexing. So all of this happens behind the scenes in pre-compiled C code, and thus it is much more concise. So let's see an example of convenience of code writing. We'll also see one later for the speed. Let's say that we have two lists of numbers, okay, and want to calculate the element wise product. The standard Python way of doing it would need us to map a lambda function, or worse, write a for loop for it. Okay, whereas with the NumPy we can simply multiply the arrays. Okay, so let's check out the standard way of doing it and then the NumPy way of doing it. So what we'll do is we'll create a product list, okay, and say list, and we'll use a map function and a lambda. Okay, so x and y will be the input for it, as we have seen previously how to create a lambda and a map function, and list underscore 1 and list underscore 2. Okay, so now we'll print this out. So this is giving us element wise product now. So 3 into 4 is 12, 6 into 5 is 30, 7 into 1 is 7, 5 into 7 is 35. Now check out how we'll do it in NumPy. Okay, so I will say arr1, okay, and I will create NumPy array, okay, and I will pass this list here. Then I will create another array arr2, and the same way we will pass list2. Okay, and now we will have another array called array3, in which we will multiply the elements of both of these arrays, and then we will check this out. So simply it gives the same output. If we want to change it to a list, because it's a one-dimensional array, we can do that also. So the identical result is returned. As you can see here, the NumPy way is clearly more concise, and even simple mathematical operations on the list require for loops, unlike with arrays. So let's see an example here where we have already created two lists. One is a simple list and another is a NumPy list. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll try and square the number inside this list, one via list comprehension and another via NumPy arrays, and let's see how much readable is the code. Okay, so let's try list comprehension first. So we'll create a list by for loop, and we'll return it, return the square of the number, and we'll print this. Okay, so now we'll try via NumPy arrays, and print this. So you see here both gives us the same result, but the type of data that is returned is different. So we can at last return this as a list, and it will be identical to what we obtained from list comprehension. So guys, clearly this is way more simpler than this. Please let me know in the comment section. So guys, this was 1D arrays. We'll often work with 2D arrays, matrices also, where the difference would be even greater. Main difference comes with lists actually, where we'll have to store matrices as list of lists and loop through them. Okay, so with NumPy you'll simply multiply the matrices in that case. So there are multiple ways to create NumPy arrays. The most common ones are being convert the list or tuples to arrays using np.array as we have done above. And second one is initialize the array of fixed size when the size is already known. So guys, we have already seen the first one. So we have created a list where the size is not known, and now we will see how to create a fixed size array using pre-hand functions. So following are the common ways to use when the size of the array is known. np.ones create array of ones, np.zeros create the arrays of zeros, np.random.random creates an array of random numbers, np.arange will create array with increments of the fixed step size, and np.linspace will create array of fixed length. So we'll check out these functions one by one now. So guys, we will check now how np.ones operate. So for any help, you can always refer to help np.ones, and it will give you the syntax of how to write the function. Okay, so it will take a shape here inside it, and the default data type is float. You can see here numpy.float64 is the default, and you can even change it to numpy int 8. You can also specify the order here, whether to store the multi-dimensional data in row major or column major, and there are several other options. You can choose one from it. Okay, so let's create a simple np.ones here. Let's say that I want to create np.ones okay, with the dimension 5 comma 3, that is 5 rows and 3 columns. So it is giving 1 2 3 4 5 rows and 3 columns, and you can see the values here are all floats. So we can change the data type also, like I have specified. So in that case, what we have to do is you have to specify this, and then we have to specify d type equals to np.int. Okay, so you can see here all the numerical values have changed from float to integers now. So likewise we can create it for np.zeros also. Okay, so let's say that I want to create only one dimensional array of 4 size and with d type np.int. So this is how it is done, and it is giving us one dimensional array with 4 columns. Okay, now let's move on to np.random. So np.random as you have seen in the example, and then I will give here size of 3 comma 4. So see, there are 3 rows and 4 columns, each with random float numbers. Okay, now let's look at np.arange. So np.arange is nothing but an equivalent of range in Python list. Okay, so let's check out how it works. So I will give the starting point of the arange and the end point and the step size. So guys, you remember that this is the inclusion part in range also, and this is the exclusion, so it behaves the same in arange also. Okay, and this is the step size that it will be incrementing. Okay, now let's print this. It starts from 10 and does an increment of 5 and reaches up to 95 with exclusion of 100. So guys, now let's check out how linspace operates. So np.linspace we use when we do not know the step size and we know the length of the array we want and between what range we want. Okay, so let's use it. Okay, so let's say that I want numbers starting from 15 to 18 and I want the length to be as 25. Okay, let's check what it gives. Okay, exactly. So it starts from 15 and it segregates the numbers starting from 15 to 18 with a length keeping in mind. Okay, so we want length of 25, so it does a division and it calculates which all numbers will fall between 15 to 18 and it gives those numbers in an array. So guys, apart from the methods mentioned above, there are few more NumPy functions that we can use. So some of which are specified here. np.full, which can create a constant array of number n. np.tile, that creates a new array by repeating an existing array for a particular number of times. np.i, that will create an identity matrix. And np.randint, that will create a random array of integers for a particular range. Okay, so let's check out one by one. So let's say that we want to have only one number with a particular length or given a particular size of it. Let's say 4 rows and 3 columns, and the number we want to repeat is 7. So we'll give it like this. Okay, so exactly it is giving 4 rows and 3 columns with all 7s here. So guys, now let's move on to np.tile. So np.tile creates a new array by repeating the given array for any number of times that we want, and the default data type here is int only. Okay, so let's create one here. Let's say that we want to create it for an array 0 1 2 0 comma 1 comma 2. Okay, and we'll do np.tile, we'll give this array and we want to repeat this 3 number of times. Okay, so this is just a one dimensional array, you can see here, but it has created it 3 times, 0 1 and 2. So you can regard this as a single element. Okay, So it's repeating 3 times. So you can do the same thing and create a multi-dimensional array using np.tile also. Okay, so here we'll do np.tile and we'll create ARR with 3 rows and 2 columns. So these are 2 columns of 0, 1, 2 and these are 3 rows. So guys, now let's check out np.i. So as you have seen, np.i, it creates an identity matrix. So it just takes one input as 3, which will be a square matrix. Okay, and we can give d type as int here. Okay, because it is taking float defaultly, so we are just creating it using integers. Okay, so this has created identity matrix with diagonal 1 values. Now let's check out np random randint. So I'll say np.random.randint. So I will say 0, 10. So it will take all the numbers from 0 to 9 and it will create a matrix of 4, 4. Okay, so 4 rows and 4 columns, and it will start taking the numbers from 0 to 9 and randomizing it into the same matrix. Okay, so you can see here it's not sequential. It has created a matrix which is a random mix of integers between numbers of 0 to 9. So if I run this again, you'll see another numbers the next time. It is helpful to inspect the structure and contents of NumPy arrays, especially while working with larger arrays. So NumPy gives us some facilities by providing some functions to us. So first one is shape, that will give us the shape of the array. The second one is dtype. We have seen that previously. It will give us the data type, which is in float, etc. Then ndim, that will give us the number of dimension or axis. Then item size, which will give us the memory used by each array element in bytes. Okay, so now let's take an example and we'll see how these operates. Okay, so let's say that we are working with a moderately large array of size 1000 into 300. So first we would want to wrap our head around the basic shape and size of the array. Okay, so for that we'll create this array first. Okay, I'll say np dot random dot random. Okay, so I'm taking random integers here. Okay, and giving it a shape 1000 into 300. Okay, so now let's print this out. So I will say print rand array. Okay, and I will only see the first row and n columns, that is 300. Okay, so this is the first row. Okay, so now we'll check some more methods here. So I will say rand array dot shape. So this will give me the shape as initialized 1000 into 300. Then there is d type. So it will give me the data type, which is float. You can see all the values here are in float. So it gives float 64. Then we will check the number of dimensions. So ndim, which are 2 because this is 2-dimensional array. And then we will check item size, which is memory size of the element of this array. Okay, so it is 8. So guys, now we'll move on to 3D arrays. So reading 3D arrays is not very common because we can only print maximum of 2 dimensions on paper, and thus they are printed according to specific conventions. Okay, so printing higher dimensional arrays follows these conventions. That last axis is printed from left to right, the second to last axis is printed from top to bottom, and the other axes are also printed to top to bottom, which each slice is separated by another using an empty line. Okay, so I'll give an example here and then we will check these rules if they are applicable there. So I'll say array 3D equals to np dot arrange. So I'm using arrange just to specify the integer size, and I will reshape it to 3 dimensions, that is 2 comma 3 comma 4. Okay, and I will print this. So when I print this, so you can see here that it has extra brackets here and a line also, and there are separate blocks of matrices. So 2 matrices are there. So let's look at the rules again. It says that the last axis is printed from left to right. So the last axis is 4 and it is printed from left to right, which is this one. Okay, so 4 matches here the number of integers. Then it is saying the second to last axis is printed from top to bottom. Okay, so the second last integer is 3 and it is matching from number of, you can say, rows for now. Okay, then the other axes are also printed from top to bottom with each slice separated by other using an empty line. So the other axis is 2 and you can see a line between these two elements separated. So this actually falls under the rules of 3D arrays. So now let's move on to subset slicing and indexing through arrays. Okay, so for one-dimensional arrays, index slicing etc. is similar to the Python list we have seen, and index starts at 0. Okay, so let's create one 1D array np.arange and I'll give 10 for now. Okay, so I'll print this and then we will see how slicing works here. Okay, 0 to 9. So let's say that I want to fetch the third element from this array. So I'll simply copy this, and like we do for the lists, we just fetch the second index, that is the third element. Okay, let's say that I want to specify some more indexes that I want to fetch. So I'll do a print and then I will specify those indexes which I want to fetch by specifying a list inside a list and the index numbers. So let's say that I want to fetch 2, 5 and 6. Okay, so it has fetched it. So 2 represents 2, 5 represents 5, 6 represents 6 index. Okay, now let's say that I want to slice the third elements onwards. So I will simply say 2 colon. Okay, so as this is the third element, so I will include this and it will slice the element till the last. So you can see here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 has come. Now let's see how do we slice element from the left till the point we want to slice. So I will say that I want to slice the element starting from 0th index till the second index, that is I will give 3. So it will exclude 3 as the index. So it will give 0, 1, 2. Okay, now I'll fetch the indexes or the elements starting from second index and ending 6th. Okay, now if I want to fetch the elements in a alternate fashion starting from 0th index, what I will do is, we have seen this before guys, so we need to specify the step here. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 exactly, so even numbers it is fetching now. So the iterations are also similar to the list here in case of 1D array. So I'll say for I in array 1D and I will simply print I squared. Okay, so it is fetching and it is squaring the elements here. So guys, now let's move on to multi-dimensional arrays and see the fetch mechanism there. So multi-dimensional arrays are indexed using as many indices as there are number of dimensions or axes. So for an instance, to index a 2D array, we'll need two indices, that is x and y axis. So this is just a representation of a 2D array. Okay, each axis has an index starting at 0 Okay, so 0 1 2 0 1 2, so it's 3 into 3 matrix or 2D array. Okay, now let's see how to create it. So let's say array 2D equals to np dot array. Okay, now what we'll do here is we'll create list of lists. Okay, so we are just hard coding for now. Okay, I'll create 3 lists inside it representing 3 rows, each having 4 columns. Okay, and then this is the last row presenting 10 comma 12 comma 15 comma 19. Okay, now let's print this and check. Okay, exactly, so 3 rows and 4 columns. So now let's check how do we access elements in this 2D array. So let's say that we want to access third row and second column, which is 12. So how do we do that? We'll simply say array 2D, okay, and we'll specify the index for the row, which is 0 1 2. So 2 is the index for the third row and 0 1. Okay, so the second column is 1 index, which will fetch 12. Let's check. Exactly, so it is fetching 12 now. Okay, now let's say that we want to slice the second row and all the columns. Then we'll say array 2D and 1 comma colon. Okay, so colon represents all the columns and this is second row. Okay, so it will fetch this ideally. Let's see. Exactly, this fetches this. Okay, if we don't give this colon, then also it will work. This is just a representation. We are fetching all the columns from here. Okay, so defaultly if you don't give, it will still work. Now let's say that we want to slice all the rows and the third column. Okay, so all the rows and the third column. Third column is this one. Okay, so 7 8 15 is what we are expecting. So what we'll do here is array 2D, then specify all the columns and then just the second index, which is third column. So exactly 7 8 and 15 it has given. Okay, so guys, when we want to slice all the rows and the first 3 columns, what we need to do, just think and check if your answer is correct. So exactly array 2D we have to use with colon comma colon 3. Okay, so it will fetch the first 3 columns and all the rows. So the syntax for slicing from the array is we'll first give the array name with a square bracket and then we'll specify the start index of the rows colon end index for the rows and we'll specify comma then, and then we will specify start index of column and end index of columns. Okay, so it will slice from that array and it will particularly fetch only those columns and those rows which we have specified. So now we'll see how do we iterate on 2D arrays. So it is done with respect to the first axis, which is row, and the second axis is column. So we'll simply do a for loop and say row in array 2D. Okay, and then we will print the row. So exactly it will give the rows. So now we'll see how do we iterate on 3D arrays. So it is done with the respect to the first axis, guys. So let's create a 3D array first. So I'll say array 3D and then I'll use np.arange. I'll use 24 to resize. So I will use reshape here. Okay, and I will specify 2 comma 3 comma 4 in its axis. Okay, so guys, please remember whatever number you are giving here, it should be a multiplication of certain numbers here. Okay, so 2 into 3 into 4 comes up to 24. So if I have any other number here, it will start throwing me error. Okay, it should always be a multiple of these numbers here, which represents the axis. Okay, so I'll revert it back and say 2, 3 and 4. Okay, then I'll just print this. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll iterate and check if I can do the same with a for loop. So it is, the I represents a row here, so exactly it is also iterable. So guys, I have a question for you. As you have seen here, syntax for giving us a value error saying that cannot reshape array of size 24 into shape 235. So can you tell me guys and elaborate the error given here? Why is it giving such an error? So this is an exercise for you. You can comment in the comment section. So guys, as we have mentioned before, that the key advantages of NumPy are convenience and speed of computation. So data scientists and analysts often work with extremely large data sets, and thus it is important point for them to understand how much computation time and how much memory they can save using NumPy compared to standard Python list. Okay, so let's compare the computation times of arrays and lists for a simple task of calculating the element wise product of numbers here. So guys, now let's start. So I will create two lists. Say list1 equals to for I in range do 10 lakhs. Okay, and return this I, and then I will create another list with square of the numbers in list2. Okay, now what we'll do here is we'll import time, as we have to check the time from the start and the end and then take the computation time. So I'll say t0 as the initial time before computation. I'll say time.time, and then I will do computation, which is product of element wise. So I'll say product list, then I'll create a list and a map with lambda. Let's say x comma y, and the output will be x into y, which will do element wise product of list1 and list2 items. Okay, now I will compute the time again. So t1 equals to time dot time. Okay, and I will say list underscore time equals to t1 minus t0, and then I will print this time. Okay, for NumPy arrays we'll do the same thing. So I'll say array underscore 1 equals to np dot array, and I will pass list1 here. Okay, and then I'll create an array2 and pass list2 here. Then I will simply take this t0 time, creates its and take its initial time. Then I will do an element wise product and store it in array3. So element wise in NumPy array will simply be array1 and array2. Okay, then I will take t1 time after computation of this and then simply do the same thing here, that is t1 minus t2, and then let me change this. So let me say this as NumPy time, as both of the NumPy and list time will be different. And at last I will say print the ratio of time taken is, and I will use format here and check this out. So list time divided by numpy time. Okay, so you see here the list time is so much, it's 282 milliseconds approximately, but the numpy time is very less, approximately 4 milliseconds or something, and the ratio of the time taken is 70. So you can say that list computation is taking 70 times more time than the array's individual computation. So guys, please remember these numbers are variable and it might be something else on your machine depending upon the resources you have on your machine. Even if I execute it in the second and the third time, the results may seem to differ according to the number of resources the other applications are using. Okay, now let's move on to the discussion part. So let's discuss why NumPy are much faster than the list. Okay, so in this case it's an order of magnitude faster than the list, but this can even be much faster in case billions of records are taken into consideration. Okay, and then some of the reasons are that NumPy is written in C, which is basically being executed behind the scenes, and NumPy arrays are much more compact than the list. Okay, and storage is also less for them, so that is another reason for them being faster. Then there are several discussions on Stack Overflow that you can follow. I'll paste these links in the description as well so that it is easy for you guys to go through. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can come back and comment on the comment section. I'll surely reply to my best knowledge. So this brings us to the end of today's session on NumPy arrays, guys. I hope you liked it. Please feel free to reach out to me in comment section, as I have always said. And if you like, you can even reach out to my email and LinkedIn, as I'm open for the discussion there as well. I have given my email and LinkedIn ID in the description, guys. Also, please like, share and subscribe if you have already not yet done, and stay tuned for more updates on this channel, as this is your one stop for getting all data science knowledge. Please stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.